So Kish will go first.
الشيخ تبدأون وأنتم تبدأون بعد ما تنتهي الشيخ يأخذ.
أوكي. أريد أن أؤكد شيئا أن الصوت يصل أحيانا.
السنة الماضية actually بدأ الصوت ما كان.
والله. Right. Transmissions are stable due to a weak network. I don't know why.
What is it?
The transmissions are stable due to a weak network.
Oh, Muhammad, do you have the Wi-Fi password?
Yeah.
Is it connected?
But the Sheikh's one is okay.
Yours is connected. So
Yes.
go to the.
Let me end it. Let me end it. Wi-Fi
Al-Fajr 5G.
2G days.
So it should be 5G. If not,
Oh, you know.
if not, we can do the 2G. Is fine. We do the 2G. It's the same. And then you do masjid, capital M, ASIJ, JID, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Yeah, careful. Unable to jump.
Why is it not doing?
Company.
Capital M, AS.
All cap.
No, no.
SJID. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
عندكم آيفون ولا ماذا؟
It's still not connected.
Okay. So we go to you again.
It's supposed to make help to connect because if you.
No problem. Let me not use this one like that.
It's a new one. Is it slow? Yeah, see? So I don't know why your phone is not connecting.
Only I found some masala nikaweka.
Is that one connected?
Yes, that would.
Yeah.
You check the mic is connected. Sheikh, the mic is connected.
I'll be able to check from here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Anytime I'm coming to Indianapolis, it's always a special time. But this time there is, the cherry on top of the cake. My source is here sitting next to me. So I'm a bit nervous, at least. A bit nervous, but, it's an honor and a privilege when, you grow up in a home seeing your father do some stuff, and then you follow in the footsteps. And then you get to a level where you're able to sit next to him so that he sees what he's trained you upon. And then, give you the marks and then, trim where there needs to be trimmed and then, help you to grow better. It's an honor, it's a privilege. It's also a mercy from the Almighty Allah. And may the Almighty Allah grant us success in this dunya and the akhirah. Uh, Today is a Friday, the third day of Rabiul Awwal, 46 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which corresponds with the 6th day of September 2024. If you observe humanity, we've come very, very far. In terms of our technological advancements, humanity has come very, very far. We are better today than we were 100 years ago in terms of, our medications, in terms of our infrastructure, in terms of our educational systems, in terms of our medicines, in terms of even our military might. And this boils down to the fact that the Almighty Allah, when He gave us this intellect, He ordered us to expand and explore. And Almighty Allah makes it very clear in the Quran where He said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. That the Almighty Allah, when He created us human beings, He gave us dominion. He gave us some superiority over a lot of the creations that He, the Almighty Allah, has created. And the number one thing that the Almighty Allah gave us, superiority with is the intellect. The old man always has this example that he gives, that if you take 10 boys from the city of Indianapolis, and then you put them through an education up to university level, they graduate with, doctorates. When you bring them back into the community, they will be able to teach other kids what they've learned throughout those times. But excuse me, if you pick 10 dogs from Indianapolis, and then you let them go through dog school, they finish and they even get doctorate in dog education, when you bring them back to Indianapolis, it's not possible. They can't teach nobody nothing. This is the superiority of the human race, where we could learn something and then impact it back into our communities. And this is how powerful we are as human beings because of this ni'mah that the Almighty Allah has given us. So if you observe us today, you can see that the human mind and the human brain is being used effectively. Look at the road systems that we have today compared to 100 years ago. Look at the cars that we are driving today compared to 100 years ago. Look at the medication that we are using compared to 100 years ago. 100 years ago, if you get malaria, it's like AIDS, you're dead. Because the advancement of science and technology has not reached a stage whereby drugs or medications are being produced in that large scale. How does this situate, to what we want to discuss today, the dilemma of the modern day Muslim? The modern day Muslim sees all this. He sees it. He says that non-Muslims advance in science and technology. They are the ones who are dominating the affairs of the day. And then he looks inward to Muslim communities and then he doesn't find that. And then it becomes a challenge for him. The young Muslim in America or any part of the world goes to school today and then he hears information about the likes of Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein and all these other people who have impacted, positively in humanity. And then he doesn't hear any Muslim name. He's confused. And then he asks himself, is this really the right religion for me? What's going on? What's wrong with us? A couple of days ago, I think 3 days ago in Philadelphia, Masjid al-Wasatiyah, a young man comes to the office and he says, Sheikh, I'm in a crisis. I said, what's going on? He said, I believe the Quran is true. I've read the Quran, but then some things do not add up for me. He is confused. He lives in a community whereby the Muslims are not progressing the right way, and then it's a challenge for him. He sees some beauty in what non-Muslims are doing. He sees some respite and some tranquility in what other people are doing. So it's a challenge for him. And you know very well, it's a challenge for our kids across America. The kind of atmosphere we find ourselves in itself is very challenging. Last summer, we had a summer program at our masjid in Wasatiyah with young kids, 5 years and up. And 2 girls, during lunch break, 2 girls in hijab, memorizers of the Quran, were arguing between Beyonce and Nicki Minaj, who knows how to sing better. And they were so agitated and irritated at each other that they got to each other's throats. It was funny, but then it was disturbing for me. In the sense that these are girls whose parents have brought them to madrasa. And the girls love the madrasa. But then again, externalities in the community is having a toll at them. It's affecting them. So as a community, how do we find solutions for these kind of young people who are going through this crisis? Religion doesn't make sense to them. And especially if you observe modern day atheists like Sam Harris and Larry Krauss, their main problem is not religion, their main problem is Islam. So if you observe their writings now, they bash Islam more than they bash religion. So if from the intellectual front, we're facing this challenge, from the entertainment side, that's even worse off. So it becomes, a headache and a pain for these young people. And sometimes my interactions with young people across different cities that I've been to America, if I ask the young people, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, where do you see yourself in the next 5 and 10 years? And almost all of them are speaking about entertainment and sports. I want to be a b-ball star. I want to be a baseball star. I want to be an athlete. I'm not saying being an athlete is haram. But what I want to say is, it's a controversial statement. You might agree or not, but it's open for discussion. Is that at the stage where we are today now, as Muslims in America, we don't need our kids to be athletes. We need them to be doctors, to be engineers, to be law enforcement men. Do you know why? Because they are the ones who are going to change the landscape of the decision making in the country that we find ourselves in. With all due respect to the athletes, if Congress wants someone to come and speak about any issue, they are not being invited. They invite the people who are the intellectuals. So it's important that we let the kids understand these trends. And if you observe, I'm trying to jump from one topic to the other topic because it's something that is very, very wide and large, and we can't treat it even in a semester course. It's a lifelong thing. But then the discussion is just to, prick your minds and generate that conversation that these are dilemmas that the young people are facing, and even some of us are facing even as adults or elderly people. There is also another dilemma that I observed that I want to bring to the fore, which is sometimes young women come to the office. Salaam alaikum, Sheikh. I'm 24 years old. I'm 25 years old. I have 3 kids. I'm looking for a husband. Sheikh, you have that here. She has 3 kids. She might have a jahiliyyah or had a jahiliyyah, but now she's now an upright Muslimah. And she has 3 kids, and all 3 kids have different fathers. But now she's settled down, she's in her full hijab, she's in her niqab, she wants to get married, she wants to settle down. But then there are no men who are ready to take care. And it's also a problem that we need to look, it's a dilemma, it's a headache, that you have some of these sisters there. And the brothers are not willing to get married to these sisters. Why? They have their own issues. We're not forcing anything on anybody, but then we're just generating some of these discussions so that, we look at it, from a perspective that will find solutions for those problems. So it's a dilemma that we face. And the other dilemma that we face, with all due respect, is going to be a bit sensitive. It's going to be a bit sensitive, but then I want to bring to our minds, which is our atmosphere, with all due respect, is sexually charged. Especially we're in summer. And you see the kind of dressing that is going on. We need to teach our young men to close their legs. We need to teach our young women the importance of chastity and virginity. I know it's a very sensitive thing to talk about, but then it's something that we need to let the young people know. Don't let a 10-minute enjoyment hook you down with child support for the next 18 years. It's very important. A 16-year-old girl comes to me in the office and says, Sheikh, my father is not a Muslim, but my mother is, and I want to get married. That's okay, fine. You're 16 years old. In the state of Pennsylvania, you can get married at the age of 16 with the parents' consent. No problem. We have your mother on board. Does your mother agree to this? And she was I said, okay, no problem. We'll see how we're going to talk to your mother. But then the person that you're getting married to, how old is the person? Who is he? She said, he's 17. I said, wait, 17, 16? Okay, what happened? No, he's a family friend, and we've not seen each other for the past 2 years. And then we met on the day of Eid. You know, on the day of Eid, everybody is beautiful, everybody is handsome. So, you know, there were some spark plugs, and then he saw her, she was beautiful, he was handsome, and then they developed a conversation, a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old. So I said, okay, he's 17 years old. What does he do? He works in a store. Who does he stay with? He stays with his parents. Okay, no problem. Let's see. And the reason why I said let's see is because these young people were responsible enough to come to the masjid to say, we want to do it the right way. They could have done their own stuff somewhere. But then they came to the masjid, they're seeking, advice, professional and spiritual advice, that this is what we intend. What help can we get? How many of them will come to the masjid with such a problem? A lot of them wouldn't. They will engage themselves in whatever they want to do, and then in the end, the consequences come in and it becomes a challenge. So I told her, give my number to the young man, let him call me. So the young man comes in, he calls me, and then we have a conversation. I asked him, you're 17? He said, yes. I said, no problem. And you want to get married to the sister? He said, yes. I said, okay, no problem. Now my question to you is, do you work? He said, yes, I have a job. And how much do you earn? He was reluctant. I said, okay, since you are a bit hesitant in telling me how much you earn, it means it's not much. But the question is, do you have enough to rent a place? He said, no. Okay, fine. Will your parents allow you to stay in their house, with your wife? He said, Sheikh, actually, I am in the same room with my 3 brothers, and I don't think they'll be ready to pack out of the room to let me stay with my wife. I said, it means you're not ready to get married. I asked him, what if your brothers pack out? Do you have enough money to take care of the wife, her feeding, her clothing? When the babies start coming in, do you have the money to buy baby food and stuff like that? He was like, yo, Sheikh, I didn't think of it that way. Because the thing that was driving him was just his sexual fantasy. That's the only thing that was driving him. But he didn't realize that marriage goes beyond that. So I told him, young man, you're not yet ready for marriage. And then you need to what? You need to sit down and think about your priorities in life. So these young people, they want to do it the right way. A lot of the young ones out there do not think of coming to the masjid for this. They end up doing stuff that is going to hold their necks for the rest of their lives. A 17-year-old putting himself in the father position, he's a baby taking care of a baby. And that's a dilemma, that's a challenge, that's a pain in the neck. We have a lot of examples for that. And other different challenges that young people are facing, whether it's spiritual, whether it's emotional, whether it's psychological, whether it's financial, but then the dilemma is there. And we can't sweep it under the carpet. No, we shouldn't sweep it under the carpet. And when these young people come to us too, we shouldn't just throw them away. We shouldn't push them away. Give them that listening ear. Listen to them. Sit with them. Even if what they're saying doesn't make sense, so long as you have realized that it doesn't make sense, you need to sit them down and tutor them and explain things to them. Spend your time with them, because our young people are in a crisis. I was having a discussion with my Sheikh Ahmed a couple of months ago when I came in as a visitor. And he was asking me about, dawah in Philadelphia and a scale of preference. He might forget. And then he said when he came in Indianapolis, his main concern was the hairstyle of the young men. What kind of hairstyles are they having? Now he's toned it down to the extent that he is only interested in the young men surviving, living, because of gun violence. A lot of them being shot, a lot of them joining gangs. So when the young people come to the masjid with all these challenges that they have, we need to sit with them. We don't need to kick them out. We don't need to look at them in a way. We need to find that accommodative atmosphere, because they've come to the right place. And I always say this, the masjid is both for sinners and the pious ones. The masjid is not an exclusive club for pious people, people who are only closer to the Almighty Allah. The masjid is a place where everybody can come in and get the solution to their problems. The masjid is like the ER, where you come in for your wounds to be treated. The masjid is like the ER, where you get the antivirus shot. So young people need that. Even sometimes elderly people need it. What are some of the solutions that we profess? Number one, education. It's very, very important. And the Almighty Allah states it clearly in the Quran. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. The first 5 verses to be revealed in the Quran speak about education 6 times. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Education is spoken about 6 times in the first 5 verses of the Quran. What kind of education are we going to speak about? Number one, it depends on the challenge that the young person or the person with the dilemma is facing. Sometimes people need to be taught the deen. They need to understand the deen. A young man came, yes, in the office again, and he showed me a YouTube video of an ex-Muslim, speaking about the Quran, finding problems in the Quran and all that stuff. And the young man is confused. He can read the Quran himself. He's memorized part of the Quran, but then he doesn't have the in-depth analysis and the knowledge of the Quran. And then there is a verse that comes, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ إِلَّا مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ. And then he brought some long stuff, and the young man was confused. He said, Sheikh, I'm confused. This is the Quran. And the guy was speaking fluent Arabic and trying to explain, just not explain, but distort the meaning. And I had to take him back a few verses behind, وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمْ إِسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ. And I took him through that to وَحُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ. And then he understood the context within which the verses were revealed and then the right meaning. So we need to have that education. It's very, very important. And I say this, I'm also going to make another controversial statement. Most of us immigrants, when we come to America, we try as much as possible to try to have an education so that we get higher pays in our jobs. This is normal. Some of us who come from non-English speaking countries, when you come, we go to night school, we go and we just to meet up levels. But then, how many of us have that energy to also learn the deen? We have a lot of online schools that we can learn the deen. I don't need to mention any of the schools or organizations, you know them. You just have to Google them and then you can learn. Apart from that, we have a lot of shuyukh in the city where you can have an arrangement with the sheikh and go start learning a book, or even together with your friends, you can form 5, 10 people and say, Sheikh, we want to learn. But we don't do that. I say this. Sometimes I meet Muslims and then you ask them, what are you doing? Oh, I'm studying a new language. What is he studying? He's studying a Korean. Someone from Ghana studying Korean language. He wants to be a diplomat. Someone is learning Spanish. If you make the mistake of going to the Akhirah, where you've learned Korean, you've learned Spanish, but you've not learned how to read the Quran, I don't know what is going to happen to you if you go to the Akhirah. It's funny, but it's serious. Which brings us to the point that we need to create that Islamic atmosphere in the house for the kids. But unless we learn as parents, unless we put our money there, we put our times and our energies there, we'll not be able to profess those solutions for the young people. At our madrasa in Philly, a parent called and he said, Sheikh, thank you very much for the wonderful job you're doing. I said, what's the issue? She said, my daughter came home. I was going to drink water with my left hand, and she said, Sheikh Kish said you don't drink water with your left hand. It is not right. Shaitan drinks with his left hand. And She said, and then she Googled it herself, and then she saw the hadith where the Prophet Muhammad states that, and she was like, no, we got a lot of learning to do. So as parents, we have to have a lot of learning to do if you're going to solve the problems of our young people, especially here in America. So number one, create that atmosphere in the house, and that atmosphere will not be created unless you have the education. It's very, very, very important. And the other thing is that the education is a lifelong thing. It's baby steps. Don't worry yourself that you need to be a doctor or you need to be an alama. No, it's baby steps. Abdullah ibn Umar says that it took some of them 10 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. 10 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. They say if they memorize 10 verses at a time, they learn it, they memorize it, they work with it, they implement this before they go to the next 10. So, baby steps. But then, have that deliberate, conscious effort that I'm going to learn. That's one. Number two, make sure you know where you are learning from. What are the sources where you are picking your information from? You see, the internet, it gives you information, it doesn't give you education. Let me explain. You can go to YouTube and then type how to assemble a car. It's going to give you that information, but you will never be able to learn how to assemble a car unless you go to engineering school. So you can have that information on Google, but then it might not necessarily be a form of education. So sometimes you can go and Google, Sheikh Google or Mufti Facebook, but then you not get the right information. And sometimes some people who have paid blogs will have, their searches being the ones that come out first, and they might not necessarily give you the right answer. So be mindful of where you pick your information. It's not everybody who has a beard and a thobe on can give you the information. There is this famous Christian debater, Anis Shorosh. Those of you who've been following Sheikh Ahmad Didat, rahimahullah. Anis Shorosh is an Arab man, but he's a Christian. And then he debates the likes of Didat. And then sometimes when he comes to debate, he's in a thobe, and then he's amama. He comes to debate Didat. And to be very, very mischievous, sometimes he comes with the Bible in the Arabic language, reading Bible verses in the Arabic language. So for example, if you did not know Anis Shorosh, and then you come and find him speaking Arabic language, and then reading Bible verses from, with the Arabic language, you pick up something there without even knowing that you've picked up something from there. So it's very, very important you know what you are picking and who you are picking from. Same way with the young people, let's let them understand that it's not every information that is wholesome for them. We need to have those filters for them. The next thing is building that atmosphere in the house. Wallahi, if you do not create an Islamic atmosphere in the house, the young people will not be able to survive. Yes, some of us have daunting tasks. Our jobs are very, very, aggressive. They take a lot of our times. But then make sure you have a deliberate, conscious timetable to have those conversations with the young people. COVID-19 exposed a lot of parents where you will not go anywhere, you stay in the house. And from there, you'll be able to hear what kind of discussions your kids are having. Who are they talking to? Who are they conversing with? Who are they having their interactions with? There's a family in Philly, purely good Muslim family. Their child started having some conversations with some unknown persons on the internet. To cut a long story short, the boy was initiated into the alphabet people. You know them, the alphabet people. The guys who took 26% of the alphabet for themselves. He got initiated in those groups. And in the end, the parents had to run away and leave America. Why? Because the state had to take that kid away from the family because he thinks different from the family now. He is a different member of the family. He doesn't buy Islam. He thinks it's a whole different ball game. And his other siblings were being influenced. And the state took the child from them. They gave him to a foster parent. And the foster parent are also the alphabet people. And he had to pick his family and leave the country. So you need to have those conversations with the kid. Listen, when we're growing up, Daddy is here. If he looks at you like this, you understand the language. If you're doing something and then he just looks at you, you understand the language. But our kids today, You look at them and they're like, yo, dad, why you look at me like that? And then he even goes and then he tells his mommy, Mom, daddy has been looking at me in a way I don't understand. So the challenges or the strategies are not the same. So this time around, you need to be more strategic with what? With the young people. Being hard on them and being always at loggerheads with them and being antagonistic with them is not going to solve the problem. You need to be more strategic in the way you deal with them. So if you have a kid in the house and the kid is being difficult, is being stubborn, there are new ways through which you can deal with that. And especially, you live in a country whereby it's each man for himself and God for us all. But then, in the countries that we came from, majority of us, it takes a street to nurture a child. I remember growing up, if you mess up in the street, a neighbor, an uncle, a passerby will knock your head and return your memory back to factory settings. And you are straight. And woe betides you if you come home and come and say, I was beaten outside. You receive double what you receive outside at home. Because it's a community-based thing whereby the whole community says, this might be Mr. Musa's son, but then he's the son of the whole community. But no, you are here, it's a whole different thing. Where sometimes your own brother cannot discipline your kids because of DHS. It's a fact that we face. So you need to be strategic in the way you nurture the kids. But then being strategic with the kids also doesn't mean you give the kids a leeway. No. Let them understand when there's serious business and let them understand when there is flexibility. Let them have that atmosphere in the house. The dilemma doesn't start when they are 15 or 16. It starts when they are younger than that. If you do not create that, DNA in them, by the time they are 15, someone else has created a different mindset for them. They go to school, they meet people outside. I always tell young people, and I always tell, the people who are closer to me, do not pick anything from outside and bring it home. And that's what he's been telling us. No, we have an identity. We have a clear path. We have a map that we've designed. This is who we are. If you're bringing something from outside, we'll be able to know in our home. It's very clear. Because we have a strategy, we have a map, we have what we're doing, we have a blueprint. We rather take stuff outside, we don't bring stuff in the home. So the moment we change, he observes it, even from our walking. Hey, come here, sit down. Sometimes he might not even remember. Hey, sit down. What's going on? And you will realize that he knows what's going on. And then you will be able to decipher the problem and the problem is solved. Until you have that relationship with the kids, with the young people, you will not go far. Especially in this country that we find ourselves in. So educating them. The other thing, a part of the education is that we need to teach our young people contentment. Which is, let them know that whatever you give them, that's what they can have. It's very important. It doesn't matter if someone has iPhone 2000 Pro Max. The iPhone 2 that you've given them, that is what they can have. It doesn't matter someone is wearing a Gucci shirt that costs $2,000. That $20 shirt, that $15 shirt that you've bought for them, that is what they can have. If you teach your kids contentment, they wouldn't be concerned about what other people have. What they have is enough for them. That, in a way, is building an identity in them for them to understand that whatever ideologies that you, the father, or you, the mother, do not teach them, or you do not approve of, they can't bring it in the house. But you need to put in more work. You need to put in more effort. The other aspect of it is that regulate the kind of or the amount of time they have on their gadgets. Is very important. Let them have human time. There was, this fable I read on Facebook that an old man who had a son working in another state came to visit his father. And then the old man told the son, "Oh, let's go to the bank." And they went to the bank. And what does the old man want to do? He just wanted to withdraw $150. And the young man was like, "Yo, Dad, you don't need to go to the bank to do this stuff. And already you just withdrew this money and then you just came home. You didn't do anything. You have an ATM. You have all these digital portals. You can just, buy whatever you want to buy online and do all. Dad, you're wasting time." And the old man told him, "You don't understand." He said, "What is it?" He said, "Just even coming out of the home, meeting people, going to the bank, saying hi to the tellers, having a conversation with them. I meet old people like myself. We have that conversation. That human interaction is very, very important." When we're growing up, we're outdoor kids. Kids today are indoor kids. You can't take them away from the PS5s. You can't take them away from the Nintendo Switches. Someone is asking, "How do you know that?" How do I know that? I'm here. That's how I got to know that. And this also brings me to a point. As a parent, you also need to know the current trends. You need to know them. You need to know what's going on. Because the world is a fast-moving place that the young people are engulfed in a lot of stuff that you as the parent, if you do not catch up with them, they will trick you. And the old man is here. If he gets a new phone, nobody's setting it for him. He's doing his own thing. Sometimes at home, you wake up at night and then you look at his door and then the light is still on. What is he doing? He's on the new phone. He's on the new iPad. He's on the new computer, trying to find his way through it. And by morning, he has his phone with him. And they ask him, "You didn't sleep?" He said, "Yes, I didn't sleep last night because I need to know what I'm holding in my hand." And in Michigan, they said, "Oh, we thought you were very tech savvy, but your father is more tech than you." You need to know what's going on. You need to understand current trends. You need to know what's going on. You can't live in America and then be oblivious of the fact that we are in an election year. You need to know what's going on. You might not vote or you might not want to vote, but at least you need to understand the politics of the day. You can't be in Indianapolis and then you don't know who the mayor is. It's a travesty of justice. You can't be in Indianapolis and then you don't know some stuff. Because if you want to nurture your kids, if you want to help the young people, you need to be abreast of what's going on. You need to know a bit of everything. That will help you to be able to do that effective nurturing. And as young scholars like myself, if you want to do da'wah, you need to know what's going on. You need to know what the young people are thinking. You need to know where they are going. What is their destination spot? You need to know all that. Because these people will walk into the masjid. He is in a crisis. And then he wants to have a solution to the problem that he's facing. And then he tells you his problem. And then you don't know anything about what he's speaking about. It's because you've not invested your time and then your energy in what? In doing that. This is with the home. What about the environment? What about, the masjid? It's very, very important that we create that similar atmosphere to in the masajid, where the young people can come in and have quality time. And alhamdulillah, the youth building that we have at the back there, Allah, it's a very beautiful idea. I want to ask a controversial question. Do we have a youth director in the masjid? Alhamdulillah. It is something a lot of masajid in America do not have. In Philly, I know of about 70 to 100 masajid that I know of. And it's only 3 that I know of that they have, youth directors. Only 3. Until we bring the young people into these spaces and then give them responsibilities, they won't feel a part of what we do. When the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ died, how old was Abdullah ibn Abbas? Who can tell us? Abdullah ibn Abbas, how old was he when the Prophet died? We hear a lot of ahadith and Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas. He was only 13 years old when the Prophet died. But then he transmitted more than 2,000 ahadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Out of the Sahaba, he is amongst the top 7 who have narrated more hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdullah ibn Abbas was only 13 years old when the Prophet died. During the time of Umar ibn Khattab, Umar will bring him in the cabinet meeting of the Shuyukh. And some of the Sahaba were like, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, this young man that you're bringing here, we have kids like him in our homes. Why are you bringing him here? And Umar ibn Khattab says, I only bring him here because I understand that he has a quality that we, the community, need. Okay, no problem. They were not satisfied. So one day, it became a back and forth. The Umar ibn Khattab said, okay, no problem. Let's settle this once and for all. What is the reason for the revelation of إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ? And the Sahaba were like, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ, right? And as people are coming into deen, and then, that's it. And he's asked Abdullah ibn Abbas, why do you think? He said, because إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ was a sign that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was about to die. And Umar ibn Khattab said, I don't know of any other answer apart from this one. So young people throughout our history played a very pivotal role in the development of Islam in their communities. Ali ibn Abi Talib was only 30 years old when the Prophet died. 30 when the Prophet died. The likes of Mus'ab ibn Umair, how old were they? Usama ibn Zayd was 19 years old when he was made the army general. At the time that the Prophet ﷺ died, he was only 19. And in that army, the likes of Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali were soldiers in the army that Usama ibn Zayd was what? Was the army general. This tells us that the young people played a very vital role in the nurturing and then the propagation of the deen. And this is a blueprint that we all can copy. How do we integrate the young people in our communities, in our spaces? If not for anything, they are the ones who are going to carry on the legacies that we're building. When we build these legacies and then we don't bring on board these young people, when we phase out, when we die and then we go, who is going to continue, these legacies that we have? So it's very, very important within our communities. We have these mindsets, these thought processes where we involve the young people. If you observe the Sahaba, the likes of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the likes of Abu Bakr and the likes of Abbas, these were the older guys. And then the likes of Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and Abdullah, all these other young guys. You can see there's a blend in that. The community needs 2 ingredients to develop and fight these dilemmas that we're speaking about. Number 1, the experience and the knowledge of the older folks. Number 2, the energy of the younger ones. If we say we do not need the elderly people, it's like a body without a head. You have nowhere to go. And when we say we don't need the younger people, it's like a body without limbs. We won't go anywhere. The younger people need to respect the older people. And the older people need to have sympathy on the younger people. The younger people shouldn't think that the old people, they are old G's, as we say. They are lost with time or touch with time. No, it's very, very wrong. There's an old African proverb that says, what the old man sees whilst reclining in his lazy chair, the young man cannot see even if he climbs the tall Iroko tree. It's an old African proverb. What the old man will see while sitting down, the young man cannot see if he climbs the tall Iroko tree. So it's very, very important that we blend the experience and the knowledge of the old ones with the energy and the power of the young ones. This is a way for us to fight these dilemmas outside our homes, within the community. And understand one thing, Islam is a communal religion. It's not an island religion. It's not about only you. It's about the community. And when you join the community, when you are a part of the community itself, it's a pathway towards Jannah. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us, "Tabassumuka fi wajhi akhika sadaqa." The fact that you even smile in the face of your brother is what is a form of sadaqah. How much more time do we have?
We have actually a minute or two before because Isha is in about 10 minutes.
Okay, so let me just wrap up and then, the corrections we made. The final statement I want to make is, this class is just to develop the conversations. Each and every person's problem is unique. The challenges that you face, you are the one who knows those challenges. But then, the number one thing is, be sincere with Almighty Allah, and Almighty Allah will find ways for you. That's one. Number two, never ever lose hope on the young people and on yourself. Never lose hope. Be positive, be optimistic that the Almighty Allah is going to give you the ability to be able to find solutions to the problem. Let's not lose hope on the young people. Let's not give up on them. Let's pull them close to us. Let's not get tired of them. Let's listen to the silly things that they have to say. Let's listen to the nonsense questions that they have, quote unquote, because we are not doing it for them, we are doing it for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, when they are better, it is all to us. If they become worse off, then the whole community is not safe. So, as they say, when you see, fire on the beard of your brother, try and get water next to his, not next to yours. Because if you keep the water next to yours and then wait for his beard to get burnt, then one day the spark might just flip and then get to your beard first. So take care of his. By taking care of his, you are taking care of what? You're taking care of yours. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم. Okay, inshallah. Okay, where's the other mic? Hey. The mic. No. Haka.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمدك اللهم على نعمة التوفيق ونسألك اللهم هداية إلى أقوم الطريق وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الرحمن علم القرآن وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي بعثته للناس رحمة قال تعالى وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين وأن تكته بالهدى والحكمة قال تعالى هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه الذين حفظوا هداه فبلغوا ورأوا نوره فاتبعوه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Inshallah, I'm not going to take much more time in your time, just about, I think it's 10 minutes. So, inshallah, Sheikh will make the translation because my English is not to American English, it's African English. So, inshallah, Sheikh will take the translate. Ni nawa fahimta da na zauna wannan makaranta yanzu. Abin da na fahimta shi na ga nan wurin makaranta ne inda mutum da ka zo ka samu ilimi wanda za ka gyara addininka da shi. Yalla.
My understanding of this setting is that it's a school, it's a classroom where when you come you're going to have a lot of benefit.
Duk inda mutum ka kai da ilimi da hikima da fasaha idan ka zo irin wannan wurin za ka ji wani darasi wanda baka san su ba.
no matter how advanced you are in terms of your knowledge and understanding, if you come to a place, definitely you will get one or two things in your understanding.
kuma na yi imani karatun da malin ya yi mana da yawa sun samu darasi, sun samu karatu wanda za ku gyara rayuwansu da rayuwan kuma 'ya'yansu.
And I believe that the class that we just had, a lot of people have had benefits that are going to improve their own lives and the life of their kids.
Ka bar gidanka ka yi tafiya, ka zo ka zauna irin wannan wurin, ana rubuta maka lada.
The fact that you left your home and come here to sit, you're going to receive reward for doing that.
Ko da abin da ake faɗi baka ji, lada ake rubuta maka.
Even if you don't understand the language of transmission, you get rewarded for just coming.
Annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam yana ce mana man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilman sahala Allahu lahu tariqan ila aljanna. Annabi ya ce wanda ya bar gidansa ya zo makaranta ko ka je wurin wani malami wanda da ka zauna ya karantar da kai addini, yanda kai tafiya ka zo haka Allah zai maka sauki ka gane hanyar shiga aljanna ranar tashin alkiyama.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, anybody who takes a path towards seeking knowledge, whether to the masjid or going to a sheikh, the Almighty Allah is going to make Jannah easy for you.
Haka nan ne kuma ka zo ka zauna wannan wurin kamar yadda muka samu hadisi ya tabbata, mashtama'a qaumun fi baitin min buyutillah yatluna kitaballah wa yatadarasunahu bainahum illa nazalat alaihim as-saqina wa ghashiyatuhum ar-rahma wa haffatuhum al-mala'ika wa dhakarahum Allah fi man indahu ko kama qala alaihi salatu wassalam. Mutane ba su taba haduwa cikin irin wannan masallacin ba, masjidin menene masjidil fajr, a zo a hadu me muke yi, yatluna kitaballah, mallan na karanta hadisai, yana karanta ayoyin Allah, ba shakka mala'iku shi sun sauka wannan wurin. Mu duka da muke zaune nan, Allah ya ce ma mala'iku bayina sun zo sun zauna sun bar aikinsu saboda su ji maganan Allah. Mala'iku ku yi mini shaida, jama'an da ke masallacin na masjidil fajr duka na yafe musu laifinsu.
There's also a hadith where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, a group of people will never come into one of their homes or the houses of the Almighty Allah. As we are gathered here in Masjid al-Fajr, what are we doing? We're reading the Quran, we're reading the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, trying to understand our deen, unless that the angels are going to descend here and then mercy is going to encompass us and the Almighty Allah is going to tell his angels that he's forgiven us. May the Almighty Allah grant us that.
Mala'iku da su ce ma Allah, a'a ga wani shi ba ya zo wurin wa'azin ba ne, ya zo wurin abokin shi ne, yana jira a ƙare wa'azi da zai su yi business ko da a je a yi haraka ko za a je a yi wani aiki. Shi Allah ce tun da ya zo ko bai shigo cikin masallacin ba shi ma na gafarta mai laifinsa.
And then the angels will say, Ya Allah, but then there is one brother, he didn't come specifically for the class. He came to meet one of the brothers because they have a business transaction, they have some other things to go and do. What about him? And Almighty Allah will tell them, so long as he came there, even without intention, he's a part of them, he's going to receive those rewards.
Zamanin Annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam an yi wani mutum yana ƙauye ya musulunta, musulmi ne, yana cikin addinin musulunci amma bai taɓa ganin annabi da idanunsa ba.
During the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was a brother who had accepted Islam, but then he was outside Medina. He's never seen the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Rannan sai ya taso daga ƙauye ya yi tafiya kwana da kwanaki yana kan raƙuminsa har ya shigo cikin birnin Madina.
One day he decided to go and visit the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It took him a couple of days until he got to Medina.
Ya shigo Madina ya tambaya ina masallaci.
And then he asked, where is the masjid?
An ka gwada mai masallaci sai ya dace rannan annabi na karantarwa masallaci ya cika.
And then coincidentally the masjid was packed full. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was giving a class.
Mutumin da ya tsaya daga nisa sai ya gane mutumin da ke zanen ga shine annabi Muhammad.
From afar he was able to observe and realize that no, this is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam amongst the gathering.
Bai zauna ba ya yi ta tafiya har ya zo ya tsaya gaban annabi.
He didn't sit anywhere. He passed through the people until he got in front of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sai ce ya Muhammad, allimni mimma allamaka Allah. Annabi na zo ne ka karantar da ni abinda Allah ya karantar da kai.
And the man said, Ya Rasulullah, I came for you to teach me from what the Almighty Allah has taught you.
annabi shaidu ba Abdullahi ibn Mas'ud sai ce ibn Mas'ud na'am allimhu mimma allamakallah.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was busy, so he said, Abdullah Mas'ud, can you take this man and then teach him something?
Sai ya koma sai ya karanta mai, ina jin suran nan kowa ya sani cikin Qur'an wanda ke da aya 8, idza zulzilatil ardu zilzalaha wa akhrajatil ardu asqalaha wa qala lil insanu ma laha yawma idhin tuhaddisu ahbaraha bi anna rabbaka awha laha يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره أنا كي وديدين بلارب نسيتي يا إسا هكذا كراتم بيسو يا إسا.
You know, Ibn Mas'ud taught him a verse or a surah that we all know that was read now. When he got to the end of the surah, this Arab, man who he told him, Masud, that's enough. I think it's okay. It's enough.
Ka tambaye su nan da na kai na kare na tambaye kowa saboda da an ka kai nan sai yace ya isa kuma na yi tambaya me yasa yace ya isa wani ya bani ansa.
So the question is, why do you think that there is a question to the public now, to the audience? Why do you think the man told Abdullah Masud, that's okay, it's enough. I don't need more. It's okay.
To da an ka kai wannan wurin shi an ka koma da shi wurin annabi wannan mutum yana ya isa ya bar masallaci ya tafi yansa bai tsaya ya ji abin da annabi ke cewa ba shi sahabbai ce ku kyale shi ya tafi kun ga ayan ga da ya ji in yi aiki da shi gobe kiyama ya shiga aljanna.
This man did not even bid farewell to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was being told, come and see the Prophet. He said, no, it's okay. These verses are enough for me. No, come back. He said, no, come back. And then he left. The Prophet Muhammad told them that those verses that the man had, if he implements them, it is enough for him to go to Jannah.
This is the question. Me yasa yace ya isa?
Why do you think the man said it's enough for him? He doesn't need more.
To kaga inda su tari in muka zo wurin wa'azi a yi wa'azi a tashi ba mu benefit da wani abu ba saboda hankalinmu da tunaninmu ba shi wurin wa'azi.
Sometimes the reason why classes are not beneficial to us is that when we come to those classes, our minds are not in the classes.
Kuma abin da ake so duk abin da ake karantawa hankalinka ya focus kan abin da malin ke karanta maka tabbas kafin a gama wa'azin nan kai ma ka zama malami.
So long as you involve yourself in the class, mentally and psychologically in the class, without doubt, after the class you at least pick one lesson.
Ba mu da lokaci zan ba da aya uku cikin alkur'ani farko suratu sad aya 28 kitabun anzalnahu ilayka mubarakun liyadabbaru ayati wa liyatadhakkara ulul albab. Mutane Allah ya ce ya saukar da alkur'ani akwai albarka ciki me yasa liyadabbaru ayati. A lokacin da malamin ke baku history kaza yana da kyau ka ba da focus wurin malami liyadabbaru kana tadabbur me malamin ke faɗi wa liyatadhakkara ulul albab masu hankali da kenan daga wurin kunya ku ɗauki darasi ku ɗauki karatu mai yawa.
There's a verse that the Almighty Allah speaks about the Quran being a very blessed book, and that book was revealed so that we ponder over those verses, and then the people of intellect will reflect on the verses. So as we have a class, it is also an opportunity for you to ponder over the statements that are coming from the person giving the class, at the same time being reflective of the statements that are being made.
Aya na biyu yana cikin suratul nisa aya 82 Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yana ga annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam afala yatadabbaruna alquran walau kana min indi ghayri Allah lawajadu fihi ikhtilafan kaseera. Mutanen masjid al-fajr afala yatadabbaruna alquran. Ga Qur'ani kullum ana khutba ana karanta alqur'ani ana mana wa'azi me ya kamata mu yi tadabbarin alqur'ani walau kana min indi ghayri Allah da alkur'ani ba Allah ya zo da shi ba lawajadu fihi ikhtilafan kaseera da mun samu sabani mai yawa Allah ka kiyaye mu.
In Surah An-Nisa verse 82 the Almighty Allah says, do they not ponder over the verses of the Quran? If the Quran had been revealed by someone other than the Almighty Allah, they will have found a lot of contradictions and a lot of discrepancies in the Quran. But because the Quran is a revelation of the Almighty Allah, there are no contradictions, there are no discrepancies. But then the point here is pondering and reflecting over the Quran.
aya na ƙarshe a cikin suratul Muhammad aya 23 afala tadabbaruna alquran am ala qulubin akfaluha. Ya kamata mutane mu maida hankali abinda malamai suke karanta mana ranar juma'a wurin hutuba da sauraron wa'azi, mu maida hankali ko cikin zuciyarmu akwai murfi ne da har wa yau Qur'ani baya shiga, balle mu sake community mu sake yaranmu mu kuma sake zaman da muke. Lokaci ya kai, ya kamata wa'azi da ake mana ya kamata mu sa hankali mu gane abin da Allah ke gaya mana.
The last verse is found in Surah Muhammad verse 23, where the Almighty Allah says, do they not ponder over the Quran, or do they have seals on their hearts? It's time for us to reflect over the classes that we receive, the lectures, the Jum'ah, the Khutbah. All these things are avenues that the Almighty Allah has given us for us to get closer to Him and reflect over the verses and then the information that we receive, so that we use that to improve on our own lives, the lives of our children, the lives of the community at large. We can only do that if and only if we reflect over what we are being taught, we ponder over it for it to digest and then assimilate in our systems.
Allah ce inna fi dhalika la zikra liman kana lahu qalb aw alqa as-sama wa huwa shahid. Abinda malai yi mana karatu tun farko la zikra, jama'a ba abin wasa bane, karatu ne, darasi ne. Amma liman kana lahu qalb, ga wanda ke da zuciya na sauraron alkur'ani, aw alqa as-sama, ko ka jefa attention ka wurin mai wa'azi, wa huwa shahid, kuma jikinka na wurin. Daga nan ya gwada muna mutane uku ke sauraron alkur'ani. Inna fi dhalika la zikra liman kana lahu qalb, zuciya. Kaga farko kafin ka zo wurin wa'azi ya zama na zuciyanka yana wurin. Aw alqa sama, ko ka bada attention kai haka kamar yadda Sheikh Ahmed ke kallo na haka. Aw alqa sama, kana kallo haka. Wa huwa shahid, kuma ya zama na body, gangan jikinka yana wurin wa'azi. Wallahi kafin a tashi abinda malam ya faɗi ka ɗauki duka.
We have three different, ways or requirements or criteria for listening to da'wah. And it's explicit in the verse that whatever we're being taught in the masjid, in the classes, it's only someone with three qualities that is going to benefit from that. The first person or the first criteria is that the person has a heart. And the heart is for the person to open, listen, ponder. The second part is al-qasama, you send your attention to the person giving the lecture. So if you are in a class, let me editorialize a bit. If you are in a class and then you are on your phone, you're not giving the person the attention. If you are in the class but then you're thinking of that $2,000 business, that you want to go and sign, you're not in class. So your heart is there, your ears are there, and your body is what is present in there, meaning your whole system and your being is a part and parcel of the process.
Suratul A'raf aya 200 aya 4. Wa idha quri'a al-Qur'anu fastami'u lahu wa ansitu la'allakum turhamun. In kuka zo irin wuri haka ana karanta al-Qur'ani, farko fastami'u lahu, ku saurara, wa ansitu, kuma mu yi shuru, la'allakum turhamun. La'alla daga nan maganan Allah ba la'alla. Imam Ibn Abbas ya ce la'alla huna tabbas ne, ba shakka. Turhamun, Allah ya muna rahama. Wallahi in dai muka zo muka yi wanga abu biyu, fastami'u lahu wa ansitu, mu yi shuru mu saurara, la'allakum turhamun, tabbas Allah zai muna rahama. Muna roƙon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ya saukar da rahama a cikin wannan masjid al-Fajr, ya saukar da rahama a cikin garin Indianapolis, ya saukar da rahama a cikin garin America, United States of America. Wannan shine kadan. This is my just a little contribution just to educate myself and other peoples. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and protect us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and show you can tell them the rest.
He could have saved us the time. So the last verse that we were given is from Surah Al-A'raf, the last verse where the Almighty Allah says, anytime the Quran is being read, anytime you join a class like this, to keep quiet, you listen, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ, you listen, وَأَنْصِتُوا, and then you keep quiet, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ, La'alla here, the Arabs are here, and the people who study Arabic language will tell you that it means maybe, la'alla. But then Imam Ibn Abbas says, la'alla with Almighty Allah in such situations is not maybe, it's definite, it's certain. That it's certain that you're going to receive the mercy of the Almighty Allah. And then finally, he makes a dua for us, Masjid al-Fajr. May the Almighty Allah put His mercy and His barakah in the masjid. The city of Indianapolis, may the Almighty Allah build His mercy in the city, and then the whole country, may the Almighty Allah. Let's go to the state first, the whole state, and then the whole country. May the Almighty Allah put His mercy in here.
Kafin mu yi addu'a, wa idza qura al-Qur'an fastami'u lahu. In case in kuna cikin mota, sai kuka bude Qur'ani cikin mota. To dole ne kowa da ke cikin mota ne ya kamata ya shiru. Saboda Allah na magana, ba a magana. Ko da kuna cikin mota ne, in group, sai kuka sa kira, lazim ya kamata kowa ya shiru cikin motan. In kuna son ku yi fira, sai ku kashe. In kuna son ku ji Qur'ani da kun kunna Qur'ani, ya kamata kowa ya shiru. To cikin mota tafiyar nan sai Allah ya muku rahama. Allah ya kai mana rahama.
So another information that, for example, you might be on a journey. You are in a group, you are carpooling, and then you decide to put the Quran in as you're driving. The moment you put the Quran in, it's Allah who is speaking then. You need to all keep quiet, figuratively. Don't say it's Allah speaking. Figuratively, so you need to keep quiet. If you want to have a conversation, then you stop the Quran from playing, and then you have your conversation. You cannot be having your conversations at the same time the Quran is being played. When you do this, you play the Quran, you keep quiet, then barakah and mercy becomes your companion even in your journey. Amen.
Shikenan mai addu'a ko?
Na'am.
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم ربنا اجعل مجتمعنا هذا مجتمعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا بعده تفرقا المعصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم ربنا أرنا حق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا باطلا باطلا وارزقنا على اجتنابه. اللهم ربنا اغفر لجميع الموتى المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الذين شهدوا لك بالوحدانية وبمحمد برسالة وماتوا على ذلك. اللهم ربنا اغفر لنا وارحمنا إذا سرنا إلى ما صاروا عليه. اللهم ربنا اغفر لنا وارحمنا إذا سرنا إلى ما صاروا عليه. اللهم ربنا ارحمنا فوق الأرض. اللهم ربنا ارحمنا تحت الأرض. اللهم ربنا ارحمنا يوم الأرض عليك. اللهم ربنا لا تدع لنا في هذا المقام ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا كربا إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيت ولا مريدا إلا شفيت ولا ميتا إلا رحمت ولا حاجة من خوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيت برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم ربنا اجعل مجتمعنا هذا مجتمعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.